Hey everyone, welcome to Transformational Tuesdays with Tasha. I am your host, Tasha M. Scott. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time tuning in with me, either on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, please put a note in the comments and let me know your name and where you are watching me from. If this is your second, third, fourth, fifth time watching me, you know the drill. Put your name in the chat just so I can properly welcome you and engage with you during our time together tonight. For those of you all who don't know me, I am the owner of Maximized Growth LLC, which is a training and development company. I am located in Montgomery, Alabama. And my company, what we do is, I love to say, we love introducing people to themselves. We love doing leadership development trainings. We do workshops around communication. We do team unity workshops. And I do a lot of coaching with individuals, life coaching, executive coaching, because I'm on a mission of transformation. And everything that I do, I love to say, I lead from the overflow. So tonight we are continuing a journey talking through a book called Atomic Habits, which was written by James Clear. Hello, Sandra from South Carolina. I love seeing your name on here. And I love when you engage with me because you bring some fire with your comments, some wisdom. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. So tonight we are talking more about how to make our habits obvious. If you watched last week was the beginning of this section where we were talking about how to make our habits obvious. And we talked about how to make your old habits obvious so that you can change them. So that was last night. Hi, Carolyn Berry from Troy, Alabama. Last week, I should say, last week. But I want to put a pincushion here, and I've got to acknowledge this. I love hearing the comments from people who may not be able to show up live. And I'm getting some great feedback from people who are able to watch the replays. So if you're watching the replay, thank you for tuning in. And I actually heard from someone last week that they are actually using these videos, Transformational Tuesdays with Tasha. They are literally taking these to their jobs. This is a business owner, and she's using these videos for her leadership meetings on Thursday. How cool is that? So I just want to just pause and say to anyone out there, if you have been hesitant about putting yourself out there, you know you have something to say, you know you have something to give to people, but maybe you've been fearful or you've been holding yourself back. Use me as an example, because y'all, I've got my hands raised on both of those to say, you know what? Sometimes it is bigger than us. Sometimes it's bigger than our emotions, and it's not about us. It's about the purpose. It's about the assignment. And you never know when you show up who's waiting for you. You never know who's watching. So to everyone out there who's watching right now live, or for those who are watching the replay, thank you for showing up, and thank you for reminding me why I'm doing what I'm doing. So back to our book, Atomic Habits. Tonight, we're digging deeper into the section where we're talking about how we have to make our habits obvious. And so in this chapter, chapter 5, James Clear is talking about the best way to start a habit. Because last week, if you remember, if you got a chance to watch it, he said we can't really change our habits if we are in avoidance mode, if we are not willing to acknowledge the fact that things need to be changed. He said we really can't do anything about them. So we literally have to expose ourselves. And so tonight he's really talking about what's the best way to start? So you've made it obvious that you need to change, but now what's the best way to start to put it into action? Hey, Tracy, good to see you on here. So he started this chapter talking about a research project in Great Britain. And he said that there was a group of people that researchers took, about 248 people, and they decided over a span of 2 weeks to experiment with these people to see how they can build better exercise habits. And he said they divided the groups into three. He said the first group, they called this the control group. And he said these people were simply just asked to track how they exercise. That's all they had to do, was just track how you exercise. The second group, they called this the motivation group. And with this group, not only were they asked to track their workouts, but they also were required to read material about the benefits of exercise. So researchers, they also explained in here that, one of the benefits is it could reduce your heart risk for heart disease, improve your overall health. So that was the motivation group. The third group, they called this group, these people were given the same presentation as the second group, which meant they had the same level of motivation, right? But then they were also asked to formulate a plan. In addition to the motivation, this third group was asked to create a plan on how you are actually going to work out. And they called this implementation intention. So, three groups. Let me recap: control group, motivation group, and we'll call the third group the implementation intention group. And what they found out was that the group that actually created the better habits in these 2 weeks for exercise was actually group number three, because they actually created a formula that said, basically, this is what they said: during the next week, I will partake in at least, they said, 20 minutes of vigorous exercise. They named the specific day, they named the specific time, and they named the specific place. And he said there's something to be said about that when you are intentional about your habits. You're not just saying, oh, it would be great if I got healthy, or I want to be healthy. He said it's something simple and strategic about putting the plan in action. So, again, this is called implementation intention. And here's the formula: when situation X arises, I will perform response Y. And he said people who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform the new habit are more likely to follow through. Anybody ever been like maybe the first group, you said you simply just want to exercise, or maybe you've been like the second one and you've had all the right motivation in the world, but maybe the thing that you were lacking was just a plan to implement? Anybody? And sometimes, thank you, Carolyn, for that honesty, because I'm going to be honest, I've been like that too. But I've also noticed the times when I was very specific and put a plan in place that I actually got more results. I'll use myself as an example because he used exercise here. I'll use myself. So I mentioned a few weeks back that I'm on a fitness journey myself. And I didn't even realize this about myself, that I can create habits. I can. And you're probably the same way. There are probably things in your life right now that you have created habits around and you didn't even realize that you created a habit around. So it's not that we can't build better habits. Y'all follow me? It's not that we can't, because subconsciously we are already doing some things just because they are habits. But I think what happens is we beat ourselves up because we have ideas, we have these desires. We say, I want to get healthy, I want to get out of debt. Am I talking right? Um, I want to be in a relationship. I want to do this. I want to do that. We'll name all of this stuff. It's kind of like the dangling carrot, but then we'll beat ourselves up because we feel like we're not motivated enough, or it's a one day, type thing. But he's literally saying in so many words that, y'all, we have more power than we realize. Are you following me? We actually have more power than we realize, because it's one thing to think it, it's another thing to want it, but it's another thing completely to do it. So, me, for example, I had a desire to say that I wanted to work out. And for the most part, yeah, I was hit or miss. I had a trainer previously and I was good, because I was motivated, I was good for the moment. And then I kind of backed off and said, well, I'll just do it on my own. And then I just completely just fell off the wagon. And then I decided, I got a new trainer now who I'm currently working with, actually a couple. Shout out to Ray and Gail Atkinson from 2A Fitness. They're working with me. And when I first went to them, I had a desire because I was motivated to do something. But to be honest, the first part of the journey, I think, was just for me to get back into the habit of working out. to stay consistent, to show up, to do the work. That was all that I could do. And I'm saying to begin my habits. And tonight in the book, I want to talk about, he uses a concept called habit stacking because I realized something in my own journey that the first part of my thing was just to be able to have an implementation intention plan to say on such and such date. So my days are Tuesday and Thursday at such and such time, which is for me typically 9 o'clock, at 2A Fitness. When I put that plan in place, guess what, y'all? I started showing up and I started working out. It started becoming a habit. But then he adds something to this and he says there's the thing called habit stacking. When you're in the momentum of doing something, he said that's the best time to add better habits to that. So check this out. I'm working out, right? Got that going. I'm showing up. Now, the next habit that I want to stack on top of that is drinking water. That's how I'm building better habits, is because in the momentum of the habits that I'm already forming, I'm now stacking on top of that. So now it becomes consistent where, okay, I work out and remember my plan, my formula, implementation, intention. I will partake in exercise on such and such day, such and such time, such and such place. And you can insert, maybe your thing is not exercise, you can insert anything you want in here. So that was how I had to just start the habit of that. Then when I was consistent in that, and it's probably been about, I say 6 to 8 months, it's probably even more. But then on top of that, now if I want to become this athlete that I want to become, now I've got to add more positive habits to that. So here comes the water, right? And so it wasn't just enough to say, oh, I want to drink a gallon of water today or a day. It wasn't enough just to say that. Then I had to, on purpose, implement how I was going to do that. So then I found this at Costco. Y'all, it's amazing. And by the way, if you're wondering what's in this water, it's pineapples and cucumbers. But I had to implement some things so that I could drink the water because I would buy bottles of water and then I would end up just having water bottles all over the house and then not even remembering if I drunk any water at all. So that's one way that I had to implement a system. And then habit stacking comes again. Now I'm in the routine of working out, I'm in the routine of drinking my water. Now comes the eating. Are y'all following me here? So, what he's saying is the best way to start a new habit is one, it's not just about being motivated. It's not about having just a wish for it. It's about having a implementation intention strategy to say, this is what I will do. And then how you build better habits on top of that is in the momentum of you doing these positive habits, you add more. And the reason why it has to be in the momentum, y'all, is because a lot of times what happens is we go from one extreme to the other. We go from the one extreme to say, I'm going to do this, and we're gung ho about it. And then we go all the way to the opposite extreme and we're not doing anything. And it's harder to build on nothing. When you don't have the momentum, when you don't have the hope, it's harder to build. Am I testifying today or what? Can anybody relate to what I'm saying? It's harder to build when you're having to muster up strength from nothingness. It is easier to build habits in the momentum and in the flow of you already doing it. Whatever your thing is. Tracy says, yes, like I can identify. Am I talking to anyone else? Is this helping you? Are y'all seeing? Are you seeing yourself in this? Are you seeing how maybe some things have become easier for you because you have been in the momentum? Or do you see how they may have been a struggle for you because maybe you've gone from that one extreme to the next? Hello? So again, implementation intention leads to the habit stacking. And what he talks about here is really, yes, Carolyn, she says, like looking in the mirror. Yep. And he talks here about sometimes everything that I just got through saying, it's a process and it takes time. So remember, I said for me, it took me 6 to 8 months just to get into the habit of being consistent with my workouts and having the right mindset around them so that I'm showing up. Even on the days, like today was one of those days, I had a training that I was facilitating. So I had to shift some things around. I wasn't able to go to the gym this morning. But now, because it's become a habit, guess what? My body is craving working out. And so, literally, when I leave, when I hang up with you, I created a room in my house where I have a Peloton bike and I've got a treadmill, so I don't have any excuses. I'm eliminating my excuses, y'all. That's what a habit will do for you. It literally will transform your life to where literally your calendar, your to-do list, everything will be built around the thing that you not the thing, the person that you desire to become. Sandra says here, I find necessity helps me build a habit. A few years ago, I had to work out regularly for a physical therapy program for mobility. Now, 4 mornings a week, I'm at the gym, and recently I stacked on with drinking with water. Yes, high five, Sandra. Yes, that's a prime example of what I'm talking about tonight. Yeah. And I know that the illustration here is working out, but you really can insert anything, any habit, whatever that looks like for you. Your thing, like I mentioned before, it could be getting out of debt. It could be anything. But yes, Sandra, at the end of the day, what we have to learn how to do is eliminate the excuses. And when we have here's the thing, we need the motivation. We do, but we need the implementation. And if you really want to challenge yourself, you'll add accountability to that too. So here's my accountability right here. Okay. Since we're on this exercise example. So not only am I going to the gym twice a week with my trainers, I've stacked on the water, I've stacked on the eating. Now my trainer says when I'm not at the gym, I have to send my workouts. And and what I've been doing, I have a Apple Watch, so my calorie count for my workout has to be at a certain level. So that's accountability because I'm having to send to them what I'm actually doing when I'm not in their presence. Talk about eliminating excuses. Talk about accountability. What I'm doing is I'm creating the life that I'm desiring. I'm creating the Tasha by my choices and by my habits. Are y'all following me? And so tonight, again, the best way to start a new habit is we have to simplify our strategy and get very specific about what we want and how we're going to do it. And it doesn't have to be hard. Remember, I use the exercise analogy. I will do such and such on this day, this time, and at this place. That's the strategy right there. And I added the part about eliminating excuses and adding accountability. That's what helps you to stack more positive, healthy habits on top of the momentum. So, that's right there is another aspect of the first law of behavior change in making it obvious. Y'all, we should be able to create the kind of lives that we can't run from and we can't hide from, but literally stand flat footed and say, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. This is where I want to go. And this is what I'm willing to do to get there. Right? So I want to read this one last part. It says strategies like implementation habits and habit stacking are among the most practical ways to create obvious cues for your habits and design a clear plan for when and where to take action. That's it right there. Tracy, thank you for that. Thank you. I'm preaching to myself tonight, Tracy. Y'all just happen to be on along for the ride with me. But I'm telling you, this book is among other resources. It's transforming me and it's given me the confidence, the fuel, and the power to be able to live on purpose, y'all. That's what this is all about. So I'm not going to be long tonight. This is it, y'all. If you have enjoyed this, like I mentioned before, please do me a favor. Share this with other people. Again, I mentioned at the very beginning, I just found out this week that a local business owner is watching this herself. And on Thursdays, she is using this for her leadership meetings with her business, with her leadership team. Y'all, that is phenomenal. So, yeah, I love hearing stories like that. And again, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. But YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Let's get the word out, but let's live it as well, y'all. Next week, we're going to be talking about motivation is overrated, environment often matters most. Thank y'all so much for being on. Sandra says, "Oh, yes, I want to be the best consultant for women, ready to be who God designed them to be. One of my habits for that goal is my personal growth with a therapist. Walk the path myself to show others the way. High motivation." That's it, Sandra. Because one of the things that I always say is we have to learn how to lead from the overflow of what we're already doing for ourselves. So I salute you, Sandra. Tracy, Carolyn, Trina, thank y'all so much for watching and being on with me tonight. And I'll be back next Tuesday. And let's continue the journey, y'all. Let's be the people that we've been destined to be all along. Y'all have a wonderful night. Have a great week. And I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.